Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Braja Janagandana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Jai Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Shila Prabhupada Jai Shri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotra Shatashi Srimad Isa Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Stotra Shatashi Srimad Isa Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Guru Parampara Ki Jai Shri Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Amala Purana Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Amala Purana Ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, everyone. Everyone understands English, right? So before starting Srimad Bhagavatam class, we will read a short excerpt from the Transcendental Diary by Hari Shauri Prabhu. It's a very wonderful descriptions, pastimes of Srila Prabhupada with his disciples, just to get the proper mood, Prabhupada lineage. So I found some spontaneous excerpt from September 7th, 76. It was raining early this morning, so Prabhupada simply made half a circuit of a temple parikrama path and then went in for darshana of the deities and to give his class on Srimad Bhagavatam 178. Pradyumna Prabhu led the devotees in responsively chanting the shloka and then he read out the English. The verse stated that Srila Vasudev first compiled Srimad Bhagavatam and then after revising it spoke it to his son Shukadev Goswami. Srila Prabhupada opened his half-hour lecture with a warning about the dangers of hearing from Mayavadis. He condemned their idea that the Bhagavatam was written by Bopadev. You ever heard of Bopadev? Bopadev? Yeah, no one heard of this. And said that even Shankaracharya could not comment on the holy text. He wrote comments on Bhagavad Gita, but he could not touch Srimad Bhagavatam because in the Srimad Bhagavatam the things are so nicely set up. Kritavanu Kramya. That is not possible by the Mayavadis to prove that God is impersonal. They cannot do it. Nowadays they are reading Bhagavatam in their own way. But that does not appeal to any sane man. Sometimes I have seen a big Mayavadi is explaining one verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, that because you are God, therefore if you are pleased, then God is pleased. This is their philosophy. You do not require to please God separately. If you are pleased by drinking wine, then God is pleased. This is their explanation. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has condemned this Mayavadi commentary. We'll end here. It follows very nicely. Okay, so today's verse is 46, right? Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You told me 44. Anyway, it's okay. So we will, no matter. Oh, wait, 46. Okay, we do response, right? You can also come closer. You can see. Come, don't be afraid. Okay. Yeah, okay, so text 46. Bhutendriya manolingan dehanuchavachan vibhu bhajati utsrijati anyas tachapi svena tejasa. Bhutendriya manolingan dehanuchavachan vibhu bhajati utsrijati anyas tachapi svena tejasa. Bhutendriya manolingan dehanuchavachan vibhu bhajati utsrijati anyas tachapi svena tejasa. Yeah, please.
Utendriya manolingam Dehanuchavachan vibhu Bhajatyutsrajati hyanyas Tachapi svena tejasa.
New guest. Mataji? Okay, so word by word. Bhuta, by the five material elements. Indriya, the 10 senses. Manaha, and the mind. Lingan, characterized. Dehan, gross material bodies. Ucha, avachan, high class and low class. Vibhuhu, the individual soul, which is the Lord of the body and senses. Bhajati, achieves. Utsrijati, gives up. He, indeed. Anyaha, being different. Tat, that. Cha, also. Api, indeed. Svena, by his own. Tejasa, power of advanced knowledge. Okay, translation. The five material elements, the 10 senses, and the mind all combine to form the various parts of a gross and subtle bodies. The living entity comes in contact with his material bodies, whether high or low, and later gives them up by his personal prowess. This strength can be perceived in a living entity's personal power to possess different types of bodies. Report. The conditioned soul has knowledge, and if he wants to fully utilize the gross and subtle bodies for his real advancement in life, he can do so. It is therefore said here that by his high intelligence, Svena Tejasa, by the superior power or superior knowledge achieved from the right source, the spiritual master or acharya, he can give up his conditioned life in a material body and return home back to Godhead. However, if he wants to keep himself in the darkness of this material world, he can do so. The Lord confirms this as follows in Bhagavad Gita 9:25. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrin yanti pitri vrataha bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti mat yajinopimam. Translation. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. The human form of body is valuable. One can use this body to go to higher planetary systems, to Pitraloka, or he can remain in this lower planetary system. But if one tries, he can also return home back to Godhead. This promise is given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the Super Soul. Therefore, the Lord says, Matasmiti Gyanam Apohanam Cha. Translation, from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. If one wants to receive real knowledge from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can become free from bondage to repeated acceptance of material bodies. If one takes to devotional service of the Lord and surrenders unto Him, the Lord is prepared to give one directions by which to return home back to Godhead. But if one foolishly wants to keep himself in darkness, he can continue in a life of material existence. Hare Krishna. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumiritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Sha Shirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Ladita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyamari Pashatare Shatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The five material elements, the 10 senses and the mind, all combine to form the various parts of a gross and subtle bodies. The living entity comes in contact with his material bodies, whether high or low, and later gives them up by his personal prowess. This strength can be perceived in a living entity's personal power to possess different types of bodies. Hare Krishna. So, seventh canto is actually one of the most favorite canto by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, spoken. This is a really deep topic, very important for any preacher to develop a particular consciousness to actually establish, Krishna consciousness within oneself, and also by preaching. We have to recognize, other consciousness, other living beings, right? The Shastra says that there's unlimited living beings, individual living beings, and they are also conscious living beings. They are eternal and conscious living beings, and there's one supreme, eternal and conscious living being, Nityo Nityanam Chaitana Chaitananam. It's a statement that says that we're not one, as claimed by relaxed people. We actually all individual souls with our individual consciousness, and it's up to us whether we develop this consciousness in connection with God, or whether we develop this consciousness in connection with material nature and gratifying our own senses and making our own way of pursuing success and so on. So, but the question, what is a success of life, right? What is the ultimate goal, and what is the victory of life? When we become victorious, the question. We see many people spending their life in a so-called rat race, right? This world is called samsara davana nala lila loka. It's like a burning forest of fire, like a dark forest which is burning, blazing all the time. So we already came to a point when we sing this song, samsara davana lila loka, that we pray. We believe there's a very powerful person who can pour this water, and extinguish this fire of material existence, because we're here because we had some small realization that this material world is painful, dukkhalayam, dukkhalayam ashashvatam. And someone may say, from outside, people say, oh, I have Hare Krishna friend and he became, devoted to God because he felt pain in life. He was unsuccessful in material life. But we say that's glorious, that's glorious. Krishna says, they are glorious people who turn to God. No matter from what condition you turn to God, you are glorious. Better than to take shelter elsewhere. Who can take shelter in a blazing fire forest, right? Who can take shelter? Only not very sane people. So we take shelter, we're seeking these dark rain clouds, which are our spiritual masters, and primarily Srila Prabhupada, Why are they rain clouds? Because they're in deep connection with the Supreme Lord, Shri Krishna, and they acquire all the godly qualities. They have all the best qualities, because Krishna himself is a reservoir of all qualities possible. Yes, Krishna is, as God, he has qualities, he has features, because he has a form, he's a person, right? So pure devotee Acharya, he's completely expert in glorifying and describing the features of the Lord, his pastimes, his names and activities. And therefore he said, sometimes it said he's non-different from God. Why? Because they are so closely united that actually, Krishna becomes very close to them, So therefore they can deliver Krishna for whatever they see suitable, But it's the biggest treasure in all the existence, right? It's not easy. Basically, love of God, it is so rare thing that you will not get it elsewhere just by a blessing of a pure Vaishnava. That's how we easily can achieve. If we please pure Vaishnava, he can give us Krishna. And then Hare Krishna, your life is changed, transformed, and you'll end up eternally happy serving Lord. So that's why we need spiritual masters, because we cannot approach Lord by our, poor features, by our poor qualities. This is one of the topic of 7th canto, that there's distinction of suras and asuras, right? It's Hiranyakashipu with his army, and also Prahlad with his preaching army, turning asuras to suras, right? He's preaching to classmates. He says, "Hey, you sons of demons, engage in pure devotional service," right? So he has hope. Sometimes we stay here, we see so many bad things in politics and everywhere. So imagine Prahlad Maharaj was all around alone among demons. There was none devotee around, basically, Everywhere demons, demon kingdom, demon school, And he never gave up hope. He never gave up hope. He had courage, very big courage. He was born in demon family. How can he be a devotee, How is it possible, Such a bad association, Very bad association. But that's a sign actually of Uttamadhikari. Completely liberated, Nitya Siddha. And for him, it does not matter where he is or with whom he associates. He never loses his consciousness. In other words, he is Krishna conscious all the time. Nothing can divert him from his bhajan, glorification of Krishna, devotional service to Krishna. So by this, one can value whether devotee is liberated or he's neophyte going up the ladder, right? Most of us, we kripana siddhas, we receive mercy, so our path is by, collecting the drops of mercy from the great Vaishnavas. So it's a gradual process, and by endeavoring with a great sincerity, when showing our big interest and sincere attitude to achieve perfection, we can achieve blessings of devotees, actual devotees. And this is how we actually advance to higher stages. So I studied the topic of suras and asuras. And asuras, they are, they said that God is all merciful and He's pouring mercy at everyone. And everyone is a creation of God. Everything sprouts from God. He's sarva karna karanam. He's a cause of all causes. So, but eventually, if we read Shastra, we see that Krishna sometimes, awards someone, but someone he just, removes a head or something like that. So, by mundane eye, we would think, oh no, death is really big punishment. Is horrible to lose a life, So therefore, there's a little bit of distinction of rasas we have with the Lord, right? We position ourselves in a particular way. We want to have a relationship with God. And to our big misfortune, we come to this material world or material dungeon or bad dream, nightmare, because we have, envy to the Lord. We have always tendency to turn back to the Lord or relax a little bit and you never know what happens. You accumulate some ignorance and bad qualities, bad association, unattentive japa or something. And offenses, and you never know, you might end up developing bad qualities, which is, not favoring a relationship with Krishna. Krishna is being served by complete Paramahamsas, pure devotees. Only then Krishna allows to come near him, to be near him and serve him. So therefore we study Srimad Bhagavatam, which is very, very important. It's Paramahamsa Samhita. It's a way how to become pure devotee. It's explain how to purify our character and develop qualities, proper qualities to attract Krishna's attention. And that is done by, if you want to learn karate, you go to karate masters. So also, if you want to attract God, or if you have interest to God, to associate with Him, you go to a specialist, that is spiritual master, who guards you. He tells you, this is not very pleasing to Lord. You better try to develop better quality, and Guru always blesses us to grow further on and develop love to Godhead. And then Krishna might accept us. So asuras, unfortunately, they have no desire even to develop. They are, averse to God completely. And, and there's a distinction, though Lord, even those asuras who are being touched by Lord or killed by Lord or something like that, they are liberated, completely liberated. Because anything comes in touch with God is an absolute platform. Krishna is absolute. And anything related with Krishna, words about Krishna, books about Krishna, temple, everything is absolute, is, you can say directly Krishna. So, body, as we discussed from the verse, we can go back a little to the verse. This is Yamaraj speaking right now, right? And he's giving a philosophy as in a form of a young boy to lamenting wives of a dead soldier, frontier of a battlefield, right? He died and his fellow mates and wives are lamenting very severely due to a loss of a maintainer or loss of a great hero. And, that's what happens to all of us. We experience people leaving, we experience leaders leaving, and we even experience great leaders leaving, like the ones who think the victory of life is material goal. We see them ultimately losing everything, right? So material life, Prabhupada said, is not possible. Spiritual life is difficult, but material life is not possible. Why? Because we opt to bankrupt at the end. Everything we're fighting very hard for in the material world, we will lose. And that Yamaraj, in one sense, Yamaraj in the form of a young boy is explaining that the body is not it, is not, is no need to lament too much for the body. And he gives a very, very strong philosophy. It's like crushing all the material logic, like a nut breaker, So Yamaraj's words are very strong, and it has a very strong reasoning. And that means that he is a pure sadhu. Yamaraj is one of the pure devotees I have mentioned. In Bhagavatam is mentioned 12 Mahajanas. So Yamaraj is one of them. So therefore his words can deliver from the repeated cycle of birth and death. And it can give divya gyan or divine understanding. So if we study this conversation carefully, actually we can achieve very strong understanding and conviction about life. That body is not so crucially important. It's important, but not so crucial. Like Prabhupada said, we can use this body to serve Krishna, right? We can use this body for attaining devotional service, preaching, and so on. So in that sense, we take good care of this body, right? Until we have not achieved transcendence, until we're in touch with material modes, we have to take good care and transcend the material nature by Tivrena Bhakti Yogana, intense endeavor. When you put a metal in a fire, it gets a quality of a fire. It becomes basically fire, almost like a fire. So also if we dip ourselves in Krishna consciousness, hearing, chanting, serving, distributing books, everything, we achieve transcendental qualities, that of a higher qualities, transcendental nature. So that is the way, but we never neglect the body until we already fixed on a transcendental platform. Uh, this is what actually Hiranyakashipu also is trying to explain, but in more Asuric way. Asuras also have their theories, and they use very nicely those theories for destructive ways. They say, hey, your body is just illusion, why don't never mind. It's like, destructive way. They can use it in a destructive manner. And they say that this whole world is illusion, right? This reality, this world, this earth, planet, everything is illusion. Therefore, we can do whatever we like. It's a dream. And you can go and destroy, drop atom bombs, anything you like. But we disagree with that. That's not Vaishnava understanding. Vaishnava understanding is that, we respect this reality, we respect this world, and we take it as a Lord's energy. Even though you can prove that this is all a dream, but who's dreaming a dream, right? The ultimate, creator of this dream is Krishna. You cannot escape the dungeon without permission of a maker of a dungeon, of a prison house, owner. That is Krishna. And actually, we're suffering here just because someone put us in a jail, right? So, if we're being actually a submissive and good person, how do you get out of a jail? How do you get out? You can try to, make a bomb. You can tear the wall. You can dig underground. But usually, it's very rare cases that someone escapes like that, right? The most common cases is just someone is being really submissive, good person. He makes a change of the heart, right? The prison chiefs, they come and say, hey, he changed completely, his heart has been transformed, that's the goal why we put him here, from some kind of a murderer, a person becomes like, he doesn't dare to step on an ant, like Narada Muni preached to Mrigari, right? That's a change of heart. So when we have this change of heart, and the prison owner and all the demigods, they give blessings, and if we surrender, especially to Srila Prabhupada, who is beyond everything, he can move mountains, So we can get released from a prison house very quickly. So the goal is to develop eagerness, develop, qualities, and change our own heart, turn to Krishna, try to work in a way to please Krishna, to please him. And liberation is there, easily available. Krishna says here was liberation very easily. But we can also trespass liberation and go to a fifth dimension, which is devotional service. Shri Nitai Gauranga ki Vijay, Gauranga ki Jai. So the fifth dimension is what devotees are interested in. This, devotional service that happens on the liberated stage. We achieve liberation from misery, suffering, and three modes of nature, which is not tolerable. And then we perform service, right? That's devotional path. So pure devotees, they're not eager to escape here. They stay here and do devotional service, perform preaching, and trying to help out others to escape the prison house, or to join the army to assist them in helping others, right? Of course, this world becoming a very severe place, very intense and very difficult for, performing devotional activities, but still we never give up, because we never lose hope, right? There's a million ways to serve and a million ways to practice, and Um, yeah, so again, this Yamaraj, uh, Maharaj, I can call. He's a pure devotee, and he's explaining the Atma Tattva to lamenting mothers, that the body is not a main thing, and giving a very rigid cutting. Sadhus, they cut nations, bad understanding. Usually when people leave their bodies, they lament very much, very down energy, very attachments working. They lament for weeks and weeks and weeks. Everyone is crying, and that is not actually favoring the living entity who also has attachments, and to go further on, because it was really nice explained in previous verses that it's like, I believe Hiranyakashipu himself is explaining philosophy. The life is just like a cafeteria. I put it in a similar words. It's like a cafeteria, right? You go to cafeteria, it's a room. You meet some people, they're drinking something, discussing, and after a few hours, you all depart. So life is like that. We gathered here, and after some few days, some few weeks, we never know where we're gonna be, right? So life is like that, these few moments in one room for some is just like staying with the same people for, 20, 30 years or something. So attachment and dependence and everything develops. So therefore, we feel that someone is actually belonging to me, that, this person belongs to me. This is my shelter. I catch hold on him when I'm, down, when I'm sad, when I need support, or, when I want to give support, or whatever. So this is a very deep attachment, and the most subtle attachment is to our parents and family, close family members, and it's very difficult to lose, anyone from that, um, association. It's the biggest grief that comes to a living entity. But Yamaraj is giving, knowledge that, saying that there's even more bodies, it's more bodies that we can be aware of, material bodies. A living entity has more bodies than just material body, there's intellectual body and so on. And it's scientifically proven, so, if we are aware of that, the person is not afraid to give up this material body. Because this body is basically for sense enjoyment, right? Material body. But by the real nature is meant to serve Krishna, but it's built by our own desire to fulfill our, needs, to fulfill our long-term desires, and so by our luck we can transform and turn this body to a purificatory process and serving Lord Krishna to purify the senses. And it's not that difficult when we connect them to Krishna by serving Krishna with proper understanding where the senses are coming from, where all the material elements are coming from, right? Well, where the quality is coming from. The impersonalist says that actually, everything is zero. We don't have any qualities, and nothing has no qualities. But we say there's no thing as nothing. We say, it's not reasonable and not logic that some quality can come out of no quality, right? Nothing cannot produce something. That's not possible. So therefore, it's very reasonable to say that this world is coming from Lord Krishna. So our senses, our body, everything emanates from, substance that is Krishna, Krishna's form, the reservoir of all qualities. So this philosophy and books are giving us strong arguments that how to connect with intelligence, our devotional service. When we perform devotional service, we can do it just because it's nice, it's happy, it makes us, feel good, it fulfills us. But also we can connect philosophically, and see how it works. Because it's actually devotional service meant to be performed with Krishna consciousness. Then it brings a topmost effect. When we engage our mind altogether when we serve. So most of us, we're not so much, we might not be so much advanced or, capable. So we just chant Hare Krishna. When we serve, we just chant Hare Krishna. And that's the topmost. That's the topmost process. Chant all the time, whatever you do, whatever you are, just chant all the time, holy name. And that is approved by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a great, great Pandit, great scholar in his youth. And when he approached later on his Guru said, give him advice. He said, better you chant Hare Krishna, don't study Vedanta. You just chant Hare Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took it very seriously, his Guru instruction. And all he did, he just chanted holy name. And actually, that's how it works. From just by chanting holy name, you can derive, all the knowledge can be revealed to a person. Like Haridas Thakur also used to, quarrel sometimes. Some Panditas didn't like that he is not second initiated, and he, sometimes he used to speak elevated topics. They used to criticize him. Why are you speaking? You're not Brahmana, and you have not read even one book, Like, he didn't study, Shastra, because usually Brahmanas are allowed to study Shastra, twice born. Haridas Thakur used to speak on very big conclusions on, Nama Tattva and so on. So sometimes they used to attack Haridas Thakur, so he had to live outside in the caves and chant alone because it's misunderstood. You can be most learned, most advanced Pandit, but never adopt the conclusion of a Shastra. And what's the conclusion of a Shastra? Is Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalu nasteva, 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 gatiya anyata. In other words, you always remember Lord Krishna and never forget him. And everything else is just a servant of this rule. Everything else is just serving this rule. So since in Kali Yuga our mind is filled with other things, at least what we can do is to develop taste for chanting holy name. Holy name itself, it can purify fully the heart and the mirror of the mind. And by this we remember Lord all the time. Hare Krishna, there we go. So maybe some questions or comments. We have 15 minutes, right? Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the class.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhu, I was wondering, you said some minutes ago that when we execute devotional service, and at the same time we are Krishna conscious while doing this, then the service, that's like the best, something like this. Did I get this right?
That's how it has to be.
And then you afterwards, if I got it right, you said because we cannot do this, we can just chant while we chant all the time basically when we do service. Is this correct?
Well, yeah, in Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada states that one of the purposes that when we perform devotional service has to be performed with knowledge, with understanding. Then then it brings effect, topmost effect. So that understanding, it means that you're Krishna conscious. You're conscious of the Lord. You're conscious of. That means there's a little more advanced level, But in the beginning, you can always check what's in your mind when you perform devotional service. Actually, that's all about how you connect your mind, It's all about that. Advanced devotees, they can do service even not staying in a temple, even having not even a penny, all the story of a Brahmana from South India. He once attended the class. Srila Prabhupada speaks this story that, he once attended the class and they said, he heard in the class that Krishna can be served within your mind, And he used to see the opulent in the temples, abhishekas, how the Lord, everyone is cooking nicely and opulent, gold or everything. So, but he had nothing. He had, he was a very poor brahmana living under the tree, by the river, So he just came back from the lecture and sat down, and started meditating, praying. And in his mind, he started cooking kheer, sweet rice for the Lord, right? He was so absorbed in meditation that, okay, now the time came to offer to Krishna this kheer, So he wanted taste to check and the kheer if it's not too hot to offer to the Lord, because Lord kheer meant to be served cold, right? So he thought it could be too hot for the Lord to consume. So he put a finger and he got burnt in the meditation, and he, break out even from meditation, and he saw his finger as burnt in physical body. So it's it's like that. Advanced devotees, they can serve all the time anywhere, even within the mind. So it's actually a lot to do with the mind. When we serve, how we serve, we can serve Krishna, we can wash the floor, but our mind might be somewhere else completely. And it's not actual service. Okay, Krishna says, you're using your body, but where is your heart, right? Your heart is somewhere else. So it's not very pleasing to the Lord. So therefore we develop this eagerness or to serve Krishna, this lowlam, this real desire to be with Krishna, to remember him, to be servant of him. We have to desire to be servant of Krishna. So that's the thing. That's whatever your mind is, that's where you basically are. Basically, that's where you are, and yeah. So even this material world, we hear because we're spacing out on the service to Lord Krishna. We all are in Goloka Vrindavan actually. By the time now, but we're spacing out there in the service. We have position in Goloka Vrindavan, but within our mind, we're now here. We're spacing out. So if we actually that much eager, we can wake up in that moment where now we are with Krishna, spacing out on the service and continuing to go on, That's all about it. Therefore, Acharya sing Jeev Jago, Gora Chandra Boy, Kotani Damadav, Pisachera Kod. We're sleeping on the lap of a witch Maya, thinking that this is the ultimate reality, ultimate, world and everything. But actually, we have to say, wake up, sleeping soul, wake up. So that happens when we wake up. We wake up in eternal relationship with Supreme Personality of Godhead. So our practice is chanting, hearing. As much as we connect with Krishna, that much we eradicate. We always eradicate nations just by remembering Krishna, thinking of him, doing something for Krishna instead of doing something for ourselves. Serving other devotees instead of serving myself, or, putting more extra attention every day to Lord Krishna, that more we step into this reality of Krishna consciousness. This is Cheto Darpana Marjanam, cleansing the attachments, cleansing the darkness in the heart. So by nature, we're all Krishna conscious living beings. Good? Hare Krishna. Someone else?
So, Prabhuji, the real victory, you started with the victory, right?
Yeah.
The real victory is going back home, back to Godhead, right? And for example, you said we have to also develop good qualities in the service of the Lord. And if we are not able to develop all the good qualities, will Krishna accept me, or can we go back home, back to Godhead if we, because it's a personal endeavor, you have to put a lot of endeavor to develop good qualities, but it's very difficult to. I mean, my question is, should we ask Krishna to give me the strength to develop good quality, or we should endeavor for it?
Yes, it's a very nice question. Yes, ask Krishna. Definitely ask Krishna. You can also ask spiritual masters. That's how it has to be. Krishna, usually, that's the system. We being recognized by Guru Parampara. Krishna doesn't accept anyone directly. When we offer something to the Lord, we offer bhoga or something. We don't offer directly. We offer to Guru and then Parampara, and they approve. First, we have to be approved by Parampara and Panchatattva, Lord Nityananda. It's very rare case that someone goes directly to Krishna, basically, very rare. So, and also the etiquette, we get approved by Acharyas, Panchatattva, and we get checked. It's like a school also, even if you want to enter higher realms, attaining Krishna and so on. There's a whole description in the Shastra, how it's not easy, there's 8 gopis and each of it, it's not, you cannot step over them to go to Krishna, it's not gonna happen. So it's a big, huge part of a struggle actually to go associate with Krishna. So Krishna says that the one is not my devotee, but my devotee's devotee is my devotee. That's what Krishna himself says. And he appreciates his devotees also very much. That's how it goes. Das, 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 anudas. That's Chaitanya's Mahaprabhu teaching. Naham viprona chapati napi vaishvan. He says, I'm just a 7 of a 7 of a 7 of a 7 of a 7. And that's the mood. And we, of course, are afraid to be the last one, We're going to miss out on something. But if we're looking for Krishna, if we want Krishna, that's how Krishna recognizes us. If you're looking for recognition from someone else, you go to be topmost leader, be the, someone like, in front. But Maya also can recognize you then easily. But if you're actually looking for recognition of Krishna, you go serve the servants of Krishna. And that's pleasing to the Lord. And this is how we collect all the good qualities. Also, all the good qualities develop pleasing to the Lord. It might not be pleasing to the world or mundane society. The word humility is now erased from our dictionaries of today's world. Humility or some also good quality names, they're just being thrown out. So if you want to be beautiful for Krishna, you might not be beautiful too much for mundane people, That's sometimes a difficulty because this world is averse for good qualities, and it's for us to understand this. The real victory of life is not actually within this world, but to find Krishna within this world is a victory of life. So I hope it's an answer for you. Okay. Anything else? Anyone?
Maybe a short one. When we chant the holy name while doing service, because we might not be able to fix with full knowledge on Krishna. So if we chant the name while we perform the devotional service, can this also be offensive when we are not chanting with full attention? Like for example, when I try to cook Sunday, try to cook something and I noticed I'm spacing out, so I started chanting. But then after some time of chanting, I noticed that I'm like spacing out in the kitchen, or also even spacing out with my mind.
Yeah, space out shouldn't be there. No space case. So you check what fits you. You might put on a lecture and hear something about Krishna or whatever fits you. Hearing is also chanting. So even if you like to concentrate, not even keep it silent within the mind, you try to remember Krishna or think of him. I'm serving Krishna, it's pleasing to Krishna. How to please Krishna and so on. So, yeah, sometimes, I remember I used to cook and they used to play Aindra, fire up kirtan, so I ended up almost like sometimes with the fire in the kitchen, running around. So we have to have mind beyond, gunas also, it's mind has not to be affected by rajas. It has to be, focus on Krishna means no disturbance while remembering him also. So, Hare Krishna. So we end here? Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jagadisvara Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudeva ki jai.